All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of From the Front Porch. I am your host, Joshua Walker. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Happy Monday. I hope you're having a blessed beginning of your week. I hope you had a blessed weekend. I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. And I know saying that I was not here Memorial Day weekend when I was supposed to, and I got to tell my story for that, I guess. So Memorial Day weekend, we were at my wife's family to help prepare for this last weekend when we were at my wife's family's for her grandmother's 80th birthday. And so Memorial Day weekend, we were there helping set up. We bought some of the supplies and all that kind of stuff. And I was in charge of buying some of the alcohol for the party because my grandmother can outdrink some of the dudes that I've known in my life. She goes hardcore. And so we got stuff to prepare Irish car bombs. On Memorial Day weekend, I said, hey, Nanny, we should probably practice because you don't want to go into game time not having practice, so we should probably practice some of these Irish car bombs, just so we're ready for game time. And she said, oh, you know what, that's a great idea. So her and I took one, and then my brother-in-law and his fiance wanted to take one, and then another group of people who were there wanted to take one, and then my mother-in-law wanted to take one. So each individual time I'm doing an Irish car bomb, they're doing one with me, and I'm going in succession. So by the end of it, this is back to back. So in 45 minutes to an hour, I had 7 individual Irish car bombs, and it was night for me. I went to sleep. I didn't wake up till the next morning. Cassie was great. She took care of me. She made sure I was okay. She did all that. So we learned a little lesson. You live and you learn. You're always learning, even though I'm not necessarily new to drinking, but you live and you learn. So that's where we were last weekend, physically incapable of filming the episode. But we're back this weekend. We had a great weekend back in Florida again. We learned our lesson, like I said, and we didn't do it again this weekend. So here we are. With that out of the way, this week joining me, the brother, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Nash-ville. Mr. Big Calves is off vacationing like a jerk off. God. But me and Nash-ville, we're here. We're gonna get into some things. We're going to get into, Trump's trial. Trump was found guilty. Nash and I, we're gonna get into that. We're going to, I had a service Sunday. I'm recording on Sunday. We had a service today, and it was just the coldest service of all time. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. We're gonna get into our hot takes. We're gonna get into our attitude and gratitudes. And then for our tier list this week, I traveled to Florida last week, drove back to Florida this weekend, drove back. So we're going to debate our tier list for the best car snacks. When you're traveling, when you're like driving down 4+ hours, you have to get car snacks for the road. What are your go-tos? That's what we're going to be debating. All that and more coming up from the front porch.
Big shits and small shits, no shits like rich shits. Woo!
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of From the Front Porch. I'm your host, Joshua Walker. Thank you so much for tuning back in. With me, as per usual, the man, the myth, the legend, Nash-ville. Mr. Nash-ville, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, brother. Doing great. It's a great day to be alive.
It is certainly always a great day to be alive. How's it going, man? You any big things? Any yard work this weekend, or is this a?
Dude, I was gonna mow today, but I was like, I could mow and I probably wouldn't tell a huge difference. I said, or I could wait till next weekend where it gets longer and then do a good mow and you could see the lines. I was like, oh, I was getting excited. So he's like, not mowing today? And I said, no. I said, I'm going to tease myself for a week.
We will wait.
We will wait, brother.
Yeah, my wife's grandmother's 80th birthday party was this weekend. And so on Friday, I took off. So we headed down Thursday. On Friday, I spent the entire day building a pool for Jade. I put up a shade tent and made like a cigar cave outside for all of us. Down there.
Yeah.
If it was here, I would have invited you, but it's down there.
I was going to say, how have I not heard yet?
And then, yeah, I built a bunch of stuff, set everything up outside, did a bunch of yard work. One of her presents was a lemon tree, so I like put it in a pot and planted the soil and
Oh,
everything.
that's sick.
So yeah, it was, and like you always say, like it just felt so good at the end of Friday, and I was just like, I did all this. Like, and now I
Yeah,
can sit back and
dude,
relax.
it's best. It's the best. And then, like
Um,
the best is the next day when you get up and you see everything's like done,
hmm
and you're like now I just get to admire it.
I did that.
Yeah,
I put
yeah,
in the work, and there's the results of it. It's so good.
it's
Little
the best, man.
dopamine. Yeah.
Check, check.
Um. All right. Well, I got some good stuff to get into, so we'll go ahead and get into it. I texted you, and I said one of the things this week was the coldest Bible verse, and I have
Hmm.
to set the stage a little bit. I have complained on here a few times about my church down in Florida, but
Hmm.
the man, the myth, the legend, Pastor Daryl Black, shout out Pastor Daryl. He was back finally. It was finally not like a kid's preacher anymore, um, and I love Pastor Daryl. And so he came back with a vengeance. And so he came back talking about Elijah, and it's going to be a little long winded, but I promise the payoff is worth it. So
Yeah.
Elijah goes to the King Ahab, and he says, "There will not be rain or dew until I say so. There will not be any rain or dew until I say so." And then he leaves, and he goes to a brook. God tells him to go to a brook, and every day these ravens bring him bread and meat, and he drinks from the brook. And that's even a big point because like ravens are scavengers; they're not like provider birds; they're
Hmm.
scavengers. So that, like the fact that he was being brought breads. So then he survives off of this, and then he walks 85 miles to the house of a woman, and he says to the woman, "Please give me a piece of bread." And the woman says, "Well, actually, my son and I are about to eat the last piece of bread, and then we're probably going to die because there hasn't been rain or dew in weeks and weeks, and they haven't been able to make any crops." So he says, "If you give me your bread, I promise you will never be hungry again." So they do, and then flour and oil are just constantly produced in the house. Every time they use it to make more, it comes back the same.
Hmm.
So then God commands him to go to the king, and he goes to the king, and he says, "I just want he challenges him, because they worship Baal,
Hmm.
and he's the god of fire and of rain and dew," which was just, I got started getting chills. I was like, oh, here we go. And so he says, "I will meet you on Mount Carmel," and he says, I'll let you go first, and you produce an altar, and you bring all your prophets, and you pray to Baal for fire to
Hmm.
burn your altar, and then I'll go, and we'll see whose God is real." And so he, so the people who worship Baal, they go, they're doing their worship, they sacrifice a cow, they're worshiping and praying and doing all this, and at so First Kings 18:27, at noon, this is the like, oh. At noon Elijah began to taunt them. "Shout louder," he said. "Surely he is God. Perhaps he's deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he's sleeping and must be awakened." So they shouted louder, and they began to cut themselves, as was their custom, until their blood flowed. Midday passed, and they continued their frantic prophesying until the time for the evening sacrifice, but there was no response. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come here to me." They came to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been torn down, which is not, he didn't build his own. He took the one that the people had torn down, and he began to repair it. And he took 12 stones, which for the 12 tribes of Israel, and he put them on the altar, and he repaired the altar, and then he brought his bull. Tori in the background.
Yes. Just want to say
um,
hi.
yeah, yeah. So he rebuilds the altar. He digs a trench around the altar, and he tells his people, give 4 large jars of water and dump it on the altar,
Hmm.
so they don't think there's any tricks. So they do, and he says, "Do it again." So they fill up these 4 jugs, and they pour water all over it, and it's filling up the trench and everything. And he says, "Do it a 3rd time." So they pour the water, and they're filling. This thing is just overflowing. Also, the 12 tribes of Israel for the 12 number. And at the time of sacrifice, the prophet Elijah stepped forward and prayed, Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel and that I am your servant and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God and that you are turning their hearts back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and also licked up the water from the trench. And when all the people saw this, they fell prostrate and called, the Lord, he is God, the Lord, he is God. And I was sitting there listening to this, and I was like,
dude, that's sick.
He said, oh, he must be sleeping. I guess you should wake him up. And just, oh my gosh, dude. Oh my
dude,
gosh.
He taunted him. That's
like,
so,
come on,
dude.
guys. Where's he at? Oh my gosh, dude.
Yell louder. Yell louder.
We talked a couple weeks ago about how like our God is not like all sissy and like acoustic songs and whatever. We talked about who our God is, and then I got this message today, and I was like, "That's who my God is." Go ahead, maybe he's sleeping. Okay, he's not there. Well, my turn, and then just fire rained down from heaven and lit this wet altar ablaze. So it fired me up so much this morning. I was like, "Oh, that's going on the podcast." Oh man,
that's sick. Yeah, I saw you when you texted me. That was one of the topics. I was wondering when he was going to do it ever since we talked about it that one night.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I figured you'd probably do that one. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So mine it's not nearly as like big of a backstory like that. I believe it's, I have to, let me double check my context real quick, make sure I am correct.
Yeah.
But I looked up and I was looking through different ones, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty good. And then I kept falling back to probably one of my favorites. It's the one I have tattooed on me, and it's Exodus 14:14. And let me verify. Yeah. So it's when Moses is leading the Israelites about to cross the Red Sea, and everybody's flipping out and panicking, and Moses just like cool as a cucumber, dude, just like chilling, like whatever. And they're like, like, what are you, like, we followed you, like, what is your God going to do? Like all this stuff like that. And he literally looks at him and says, depending on which translation you read, but this is the gist of it. Oops, I'm playing it. And then like the New Living Translation, he says, be calm. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just all you need is be still. And I was just like, whew. Dude, like just to have like that like inner peace, just be like, dude, like I'm not even literally getting chased by, I believe the Romans were chasing them, like, and just have that peace of mind, like an army is literally chasing you, and you're just like, no, we're good. Like I know there's a sea in front of us. I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's gonna happen. Like we're gonna get out of this. And I was just like,
God's got my back. Be still.
Yeah, and then he literally splits a whole sea for the people to just walk through, and it's just like that's so crazy, man. I love that one because it's like it's also a good reminder too, because it's like, in our daily lives and stuff, I'm getting kind of youth pastory here, but that's fine. We like we have like, oh, I'm struggling about this, or like, I'm stressing about that, and it's like at the end of the day, like you've done what you can do. You can only like let him do what he does, like.
And it's such a great reminder because we're always on our time. We're like, especially in this day and age, we want everything right now, and so we're like, oh, I prayed for this, or I prayed for that, or I asked God for this, and you're like, why isn't it happening yet? And in your mind, you should just hear God saying, "Be still, I got this."
Yeah,
yeah, dude, fired me up this morning, man. I am.
Dude, that's sick. I love that story. That's nice. He taunts him, and then he's just like, "No, go ahead, triple check, go ahead. Well, I just want you to make sure, no tricks,
do it a
no
third
games."
time. I was like, "Oh, dude, again, like you said, with the be still, but like
really?
that confidence to just be like, okay, keep going, okay, keep going." Yeah, it's also sort of a reminder that about everybody wants us Christians to be like meek and timid and like, okay, well, no, dude. Okay, you think your God is real, or you think this or that? Go ahead, show me. Where's he at? I can show you where my God's at.
Yeah,
but
I got a whole book of amazing things he did. What do you got?
And he continues to do every day. I shout out to my buddy, shout out to Rogers, one of our both of our boys.
Oh yeah.
He found cancer in his spine, and now he's cancer free. He's
Is he
totally,
really?
yeah, he is.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, and
I did not know
I
that.
pray for him every morning, and like in my morning prayers, and now he's
Yeah.
totally good to go. He's obviously got some healing to do still, but cancer
Yeah.
free.
That's
Praise
awesome,
be to
man.
the Lord. Um,
Yeah. Especially Rogers.
I
What a guy.
What a guy. Just the kindest person. And that's again one of those moments, he's super kind, he's super nice, everything, and he gets cancer and you're like, okay, well, why? But I see hundreds of people commenting on his stuff about God, and I pray it like made me to make sure that I prayed every morning, and now he's good to go. And it's like, there's always a reason. There's always
Yeah.
but yeah, so I just heard that this morning, got fired up. We were bringing it on here.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It
Dude.
was
I love
it was
that.
better than a pregame speech for me. It was like, okay, now I'm ready to do whatever he needs me to do.
Yeah.
On the topic of fired up, though, we're going to move on to some politics. Donald Trump was found guilty, and I heard the news, and I just sort of smirked. And
Yeah.
Cassie's like, "Oh, what do you think about it?" And I was like, "He just got 30 million more votes. I'm not
Yeah.
even
I
concerned."
was fixing to say.
And that's about all the like deep takes, like the deep like I don't have anything much more to say than it doesn't mean anything, and the charges brought him more support. The trial brought
Literally.
him more support. If you put that man in jail, if they come out with the charges in July, I think is when they're coming out. If they put that man in jail, he will win in a landslide. They're like,
Oh yeah.
and I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they haven't seen the signs and sort of been like, okay, maybe we shouldn't. No, they just, this sham trial with these sham judge and these sham juries and stuff. But
I
I
think
just
the
had a
biggest
quick,
thing.
yeah, you go ahead because I had
I
a
think the
quick
biggest thing
little
that they're
recap.
like, they're trying to do is like, I mean, they're trying to like. I think it was in like mainly the blue states like Colorado and California and New York. They were trying to like kick him off the ballot,
Yeah.
and literally the Supreme Court was like, no, you can't do that.
Yep.
And so now that they're really throwing anything they can and everything they can at him, trying to keep
Because
him
they
from.
know. It's because they know
Yeah.
it's coming. They know this red wave is coming, man.
Like, did you see the UFC? I think like 302. I think is what it
On
was.
Saturday.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, like right after the trial, the man went to a UFC fight, and dude, the crowd was
Went
going crazy.
nuts. Yeah.
And every time a fighter would win, they'd come out of the cage and be like, "Oh, hey, Mr. President," like, yeah, and then like shake his hand, take a picture with him. And I was just like, dude, they're so stupid because they're literally making people more into him, because he's not really retaliating. Like, he's just kind of
No.
being like, throw what you will, like, go ahead,
Keep going.
throw it at me.
Be still.
Be still. And dude, it's sick just watching him.
Yeah, it's funny because like I think it's pretty normal experience that even in your day-to-day life you see somebody who's a Democrat and they're like, oh, it's not looking great. I had a family member. I'm not gonna name any names, and I'm not trying to. But one of my family members at this get together this last weekend is a huge Democrat, and she said that all the videos of Biden stumbling and not being able to speak and not being able to walk, they're all AI, with the conservatives trying to make him look bad. None of them are real. It's just all AI. And I was like, I know people who have seen him in person and came back and reported, oh, dude, it's exactly as bad as you think it is. Like,
Yeah.
It's what, and that's about what that's the level that the people who still support him are at. They're making all these excuses. They're like, oh no, it's this, it's that. No, dude, you're gonna lose because he sucks. And
he's decrepit.
It's the stupidest thing ever because it's like nobody is in a better position than they were 4 years ago, and like it's okay to admit that. It's okay to admit that you messed up. You voted for the wrong guy. Let's just move on and get to the next person. And we're okay. You want to keep this going? It's going to feel real bad in November. And I'm not usually confident in Republicans' ability to do much of anything, but I think November's going to be sweet.
Yeah, I thought for a while there that RFK was going to have a good shot, but he's really fallen off the map.
Dude.
And it's like, I just and because he's like, I from the things I've watched too, is he goes back and forth,
Yep.
like because he used to be like hardcore Democrat, and then he's like moved farther right, which is good, but now he's kind of like going back, and then one interview he'll be like, oh yeah, no, and then another interview, yeah, and he just goes back and forth on these things, and it's like, all right,
Well,
if you're
and
not
it's
gonna be
funny.
consistent, no,
He came out like, and when he was with all the COVID stuff, all the lefties were like, "Oh, he's like a far right, whatever." So
yeah,
you've already been painted that way, right? So you should probably try to sort of lean into that if you want any sort of chance. Then he came
yeah,
out and said women should be able to abort their babies up to birth if they really like want to, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
well now you've got nobody. Now you've
yeah, you lost
like,
everyone.
so congratulations, and I do think that's sort of because the Libertarian Party also just put up like the gayest gay guy as like their Libertarian candidate, and it was like, what is happening in politics that like nobody understands who their base is, like.
No, yeah,
I know libertarians are like, gay marriage, whatever, the whole I like let me live, I'll let you live kind of thing. But like
yeah,
he's up for like drag queen story hour and trans into kids and all, and it's like all the things that people are like, okay, there is a limit. He's like hitting those
dude.
limits. He doesn't want
Well,
us to have a border. He thinks that borders are bad and anybody should be able to come in and out as they please. And it's like, oh,
no,
that's a smart take to bring.
that's yeah. We see how well that's working right now. Yeah,
Yeah. But with the Trump trial, let me before we get because
yeah,
we can tangent off. I just had to. There's this cool post. It's a little long, so like bear with me. But
hmm
it was just a quick recap of the Juan Merchan, whatever the guy, the judge,
hmm
in Alvin Bragg's show trial in NYC. The Soros-funded DA elevated a misdemeanor to a felony, despite lowering 60% of all felonies for actual criminals in his jurisdiction. So it's not like this guy is a super strong justice. He basically
yeah,
lets everybody off except for Trump. The lead prosecutor resigned his position as the third highest ranking member of Biden's Department of Justice to join Alvin Bragg's team going after Trump. Sure, there's nothing weird there that like,
yeah,
um, the judge donated to Joe Biden and has a daughter who raised millions of dollars for Democrats off the Trump prosecutions. The other lead prosecutor also donated to Joe Biden. The lead witness that the whole case relies on is a convicted perjurer and serial liar who admitted during the trial to stealing money from the Trump organization. Not on this post, he also admitted that he's been captured on camera admitting that Trump had nothing. He had no idea what he was doing. That what
hmm
Michael Cohen was doing. That Trump had no
yeah,
idea. But that doesn't matter, I guess. Um, the judge put a gag order on Donald Trump for pointing out the political conflicts of interest of the people prosecuting him. The crime relies on the idea that Trump paid off Stormy Daniels to conceal another crime, which is not mentioned in the indictment. The judge barred Trump's defense from explaining to jury that no campaign finance violation occurred, but allowed prosecutors to assert it as fact in their closing that there was. So, like, Trump's defense wasn't allowed to say it wasn't a campaign finance violation, but the prosecution was allowed to say that it was.
yeah,
Um, the judge cleared out the courtroom when Michael Cohen's former attorney was exonerating Trump, but allowed the prosecution to bring in Stormy Daniels to talk about whether or not Trump used a condom. The judge barred a former FEC commissioner from testifying that Donald Trump did nothing wrong. The judge is allowing a jury to not have to reach a unanimous verdict on the underlying unnamed crime Trump committed. So it's like the sham trial of sham trials. It's
yeah,
fake. It's clown world nonsense. And it's like, again, they think people care about certain other issues and they think people don't care. This is exactly what will make people vote for Trump is they see these details, they see these little minuscule things, and it's like, okay, well, how can I not vote? There's something he's doing right that if
yeah,
everybody in the world is coming after him. So it's just kind of this crazy moment we're in right now where basically we're voting. We could either live in like Soviet Russia where like they just grab people and accuse them of stuff and throw them in jail, or we can live in America again. And so that's sort of our two choices at this point.
I saw they were talking about the trial, and I think they said he only needed like four members of the jury for a guilty verdict, and it's like,
Yep.
what? Like that's not how that works. Like,
That's not how that works at all.
yeah, no, not at all. And I was just like, that's insane. Like in whenever like we say like like conservatives like right wingers, we say like uh they're literally throwing everything they can with like you can literally see everything. If you're like, oh no, they're not. It's like, just read anything, literally. Like,
Yeah.
the most that Trump really does for Biden is talk shit. Like, that's literally what he does. He talks shit to him.
Yep.
And that's it. And he'll be like, oh, he did this, fuck that guy. And that's the extent. I've never seen Trump try and press like a legal thing against Biden, nothing like that. Like, it's
and I saw Matt Walsh said on his latest episode, I think, but he said that what Trump should do now as a campaign strategy is just immediately drop a top 10 list of the 10 people he's going to come after his DOJ with to arrest. And it should be like Joe Biden at number 1 and his son at number 2. And just like, because if this is how it's going to be, then let's go. You threw the rules out. Okay, let's go then. Like, you want to see what this can actually look like. Let's do it. And it's unfortunate we're at this point. You know, again, I think that Trump probably won't do that because he's so ahead in the polls and it seems so much like he's going to win that it's like, does he really need? Because that's sort of ammunition. People being like, oh, see what he's going to do. He's going to retaliate. Okay, just don't say anything. Just sit in silence and let them keep like handing you votes, basically. So
yeah, and let the numbers do the talking.
Yep. But all right, that was politics. That was about all the politics I had for this week. Moving on. All right, this is waiting for this because we're gonna move to hot takes. And
oh boy.
2 episodes ago, you said some things, and then 1 episode ago, Alex had some retaliation. And I would love to hear your comments on his retaliation.
I regret nothing I said. I regret nothing. I believe wholeheartedly in what I said. Okay? Avocado toast is stupid. It is stupid. It is fats on carbs. Okay? I don't want to hear it. No. Maybe you put a fried egg on there. I might eat it, but I'm eating it for the egg. I'm not eating it for that fucking avocado. That's for damn sure. All right? No, this is stupid. And then this man had the audacity to call me basic. Water? What are you doing?
No, when he put water as the number 1 drink of White Boy Summer, I about like ended our brotherhood. I was like, you just said that Nash is like doesn't season his dish soap or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And then water was his favorite drink for the summer. I was like, oh,
margarita, water. Shut up. You're basic.
Water.
Get on here. Oh, I wish he was on here. I wish he was on here right now.
Like I said before we started, I can't wait for the 2 of you to get back together. But
and
for this week,
real quick, any Pop-Tart is better than brown cinnamon sugar. Okay, so overrated.
I don't know about any Pop-Tart. The strawberry is
That's
definitely
fair.
worse than
I'll retract that one. Not any Pop-Tart, but it's low on the list. All right, and I mean that.
It's very mid, man. We had this conversation. It's a mid.
More than
but
mid.
Hot takes. All right, so I sort of experienced. I had this thought this weekend. You know, I consider myself like a country guy. You know, I like outdoor stuff and fishing and hunting and shooting and wrestling alligators and walking around barefoot and all that kind of stuff. And I consider you a country guy. You know, all the same things, all the same interests, college football. You know, all the normal country things. My hot take, though, is that rednecks, separate from country people, rednecks suck. Rednecks are like, they're like our like hood trash. Like I'm so tired of like rednecks and their like 12-year-old understanding of stuff where they're like, oh, if you don't wear boots, you're not country. And oh, if you don't wear camo, you're not country. And oh, dude, what are we fucking 10 years old? Like, what are we talking about? And then they don't. My least favorite thing is every redneck I've ever met, if you know anything about anything, like you're just sort of like intelligent and have general knowledge, they're like, why do you know that? Why you like animals? You like power? Shut the fuck up. The fact that you don't know something should bother you. You should be coming at me because I know things. Like, oh man, dude, I was fired up this weekend, but it's just like I've never met a group of people like, liberal white older women that like talk to people like kindergarten teachers. That's top tier, like annoying for me. That's the worst of the worst. I never thought rednecks or like anybody from my side of the stuff would be up there, but god damn, they are like crawling up my tier list for like the worst kind of people. Like I like the dudes, and again, I would love to have a truck. I think trucks are amazing. I think every man should have like a truck and then like a family car. This is not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But like these big ass trucks that shoot out coal and they just be like rolling coal and shit. And it's like, dude, for what? You work at like Walmart. Why are you rolling coal down the highway? Like, what are you talking about? Like
your truck costs more than your yearly salary. Like why do you have that?
You're going into debt so you can have this truck that makes you feel more like in tune with your personal self or whatever. Like, dude, that's gay, dude. Like, what? God
gay.
Damn.
That's a good one, dude.
But yeah,
and it's so true.
Rednecks
like,
suck.
Yeah, dude. Like rednecks and country people are like completely different. It's so hot. Like you see somebody in the store that got like one of these type hats on, wearing some boots, some jeans, a decent shirt. You're like, oh, it's probably a country guy.
Yeah.
And then you see some dude with a neon yellow cutoff, wearing swimming trunks in the fall with flip flops, and then usually some type of weird hat on. You're like, that's a redneck right there. And then there's like 12 kids behind them that they don't know where any of them are.
And like they think that like decorum and like manners and all those kind of things are like lame. Like they're man, I don't wear pants because like that's lame. I only wear shorts and shut up, dude. Like grow the fuck up. Your relatives, like, because that's what I always think. Like a redneck is like, third generation or probably more than that, but like fifth generation Tennessee or Kentucky or Florida or whatever. Yeah. Your great-great-grandfather, who was also way more country than you were, was wearing nice pants and like a button-up shirt to go dig coal from a mine or to go like work in the mill, or like he was dressed nice then. He was dressed nice for church. He was dressed nice like at Thanksgiving. Like, and you guys don't have any sort of capacity to just put a collared shirt on. Like, bro, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it.
That's a good one, dude. I like that. Yeah.
All right, what's your hot take, man?
But my hot takes. So I did 3 like we did last time. I did 2 food ones and then one that I happened to me recently. I'll save that one because it's probably the best.
All right. Let's hear it.
I'm gonna say this one, and Alex would probably disagree with it because he probably likes this disgusting shit. Hummus is gross. It is nasty.
Man! All right, now I'm out.
Dude, hummus is gross. It's gross.
Hummus is goated, dude. Hummus is so
Hummus
good.
Is disgusting. All right.
As a person of Mediterranean descent, dude, hummus with like olive oil and like naan bread. Oh my god, dude.
Gross. So gross. I've never had a hummus that I liked. Never had one. And I've tried quite a few because everybody. It was like with guac, right? With guac, everybody's like, "Oh, you just haven't had the right one. You just haven't had like a good one." And I was like, "Okay." And then I tried one, and I've had one that I enjoyed. That was one guacamole that I've enjoyed. Hummus, never had one. Every time I taste it, I'm like, I feel like I'm eating baby barf. Is what it feels like. And I can't do it. It's the consistency. It's the flavor. I don't like it at all. It's gross and it's overrated.
All right,
I feel like it.
Totally disagree. Oof. That's a hot ass take. Because that's pretty basic. I think that's pretty basic of you. I bet you don't even season your laundry soap, but
season my laundry soap. What does that mean, Alex? What does it mean?
Dude, but like seriously, I don't know. Like, what are you dipping things in? Like, what were your top dips? Because you don't like guac, you don't like hummus.
So I like salsa.
Okay.
I like a ranch dip.
Of course you do.
Spinach dip. I love a spinach dip. I like queso.
Okay. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're fine.
Trust me, I'm a lover of dips. Just the 2 that are gross. No.
Dude, guacamole, first of all, is so good. I will say, I don't ever order it out because I've never usually had like a good guac in a restaurant. But my homemade guac is banging. So like I
can get behind some homemade guac because the guac that I had that I liked was homemade. I can appreciate that. Besides that, no, never had a good guac that I liked, and it was gross.
All right, hot take number 2.
Yeah, hot take number 2. The hard taco shell design, stupid. It is stupid. It is so counterintuitive. You're telling me I have to pick it up, I have to fill it all in at the top, and then I can't turn it to eat it like with my mouth. I have to turn my head and look like a dumbass while I'm eating a taco, and then you bite into the bottom part where all the meat is, and then everything just falls through because you ruined the structural integrity of the thing. It just falls apart.
Your first issue is eating a soft or a crunchy taco as a fucking adult. Just get some corn tortillas, dude. Man. Like, just
that's why I don't do it. I don't need them anymore. The only ones I did eat was the Taco Bell Dorito ones because those are gas.
Yeah, I mean, especially you're going to Taco Bell. It's like, let me get like 17 crunchy tacos. Like,
yeah, the Taco Bell crunchy tacos.
No. Hey, I got a hot take. Actually, I had a hot take on your hot take. If you're an adult, you're 20-something years old or older, and you're still making like ground beef with like the powder seasoning and like crunchy tacos, like, get the fuck out of here, man. It's time to grow up, grill some steak, make some carnitas, and put it on a corn tortilla with some cilantro and some onion, and just be a fucking adult. My lord, dude.
If we make tacos at home, it's going on a flour tortilla. Like I'm rolling that bitch up. I'm not.
As long as it's not a crunchy taco, we're not going to have no brother wars here. As long as it's not a crunchy taco.
Yeah. No, Taco Bell is the only place I would get those. And since I became an adult, I don't eat the crunchy tacos anymore because I realize how stupid I look eating it and how stupid it is to eat.
Because as a kid, it's like you're eating chips and a taco all at one time. But like as an adult, dude, marinate some steak, grill it on your grill, put it on some tortillas. Be an adult, guys. Let's go.
Yeah. Make some good food.
All right, what's the best for last one?
So, me and Tori went to Carowinds on Memorial Day weekend, right? Mm. And we went that Monday, and we got them for free, and we had a pretty good time, you know. But while we were there, we got held up like numerous times for fat people. All right. There should be weight limits or circumference measurements when you go into an amusement park so that there's not 30 people waiting in line for you because they can't push that fucking street seatbelt over your fat ass, okay? There was at one point, they had this dude in like the plus size seat because they had like a fat seat, right?
Yeah.
And the dude was trying to pull down, he couldn't pull down on himself. So they called the attendant over. So the attendant's pushing down on it, couldn't get it down. They call another attendant over. They had two people pushing on this dude. And finally, they got it, like they were feet off the ground, full body weight, clicking him in. And it finally goes, click. And I was like, what? Like,
how the hell is that?
No.
How's that safe?
I give it one try myself and then say, guess what? You can't ride. You're too fat. Get off. Like, that's how that should work.
Well, first of all, I totally agree with you. I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah,
you should be fucking embarrassed, especially as a man. I feel like, if they're having other people having to come over to try to get your fat fucking belly. Like I'm a big dude. Like I have trouble like getting my legs in there and stuff. But even as big as I am, I've never had trouble like click that thing down. If you're so damn big that you cannot you can't do it on your own, get up and second of all, you know that. You know how damn big you are. You know you're probably not going to fit. You wait downstairs with the bags and let whoever you're with ride the ride. Like, dude, you're just holding, like you said, you're just holding people up. Yeah. And I'll add on to your hot take, too, because you said for rides, dude, just don't come to the park, man. Like, I'm walking behind you. I got a stroller and everything, and we're just cruising. And now I have to, like, slow my pace up and sort of wait for that moment to, like, get around you because you're just, like, lumpty-dumping around this theme park, and it's like, how about we practice? How about like for a year before you go, you do some walking every day, so that way by the time you go, you're like, this isn't the first time you've left your house in a year, and now you're like lumped. Like dude, I'm so sick of it. All the stuff about like trying to extend planes and giving fat people a second seat for free, and dude, no, just lose some weight, dude. Like, I say this as a former fat person. I had to lose weight before I joined the military. I had to lose weight. I understand it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it is simple. And when I was at my biggest, I was totally aware of like where I was at, the space I was taking up, and all those kind of things. And I was like, these people, and I was 280. I'm not talking like I wasn't like crazy, but you know, I was 280. I was big as hell for myself. But these people who are like 350, 380, like, dude, you know you know that you're just in the way. Like, I just do something about it. Like, I don't. Oh,
unless you're
inconveniencing
like
everybody else.
unless you're like 6'8", there's no reason you should be over 300 pounds. There's no reason. Like
Yeah,
it's
we're not
so
talking about
unhealthy.
Thor Bjornsson. We're not talking about that over
Yeah,
300 pounds.
yeah,
I'm talking
that's what I'm
about
saying. That
like,
like fucking less than like 0.5% of people that are over 6'8" are the
yeah,
only acceptable people that can weigh that much. Or if you're like 6'2" and it's pure muscle of 300, but then even those guys that are pure muscle, they understand there's things they can't do, and they
yep.
don't inconvenience people with it. Like you're not going to see, Thor Bjornsson or whatever trying to get on a roller coaster.
He
Like he's
knows.
going to
He
be
knows
like,
he can't do
no,
that.
yeah, he knows he can't do it because he's like, I put this muscle on, like I know the effects of it, like what I can and can't do, and it's like, and another thing, the music part's a little sidetracked,
Mm-hmm.
but this was
Yeah.
one thing too. I almost made this. Like we talked about it before, like when you go out in town, like just wearing like, wear something proper, like show up a little bit. The proper park attire, basketball shorts, a decent shirt, tennis shoes. That's good. That's good right there. Jogging pants, a hoodie maybe, cool. The amount of people I saw, there's a water park in Carowinds too. The amount of people I saw get onto a roller coaster in bikini tops, and I was like, that's a stupid idea. And then also like in bikini bottoms, and I'm like, that's unsanitary. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. And then there was these dudes. It's 85, 90 degrees almost, full black jogging pants, full black hoodie, and they're just sitting there in the line. I'm like, dude, you're gonna be waiting in lines on the hot sun for like 45 minutes, and you chose to wear that. And I'm just like, what goes through your head when you're putting on your clothes?
And why, other than you're trying to like be conspicuous and like look like a threat, why are you wearing that? Like,
Yeah,
you know it's hot. You know that, like, even if because I don't really care that much. But okay, let's say you're so like not confident. You have such low self esteem that you want to wear like long stuff to like cover you or whatever.
mm-hmm.
There's long linen shirts. There's long like pants that you can wear that are sort of loose and free. Like people in the Middle East dress pretty much head to toe all the time, and they
Yeah,
like, I'm not telling you to wear like whatever the dress thing is called, but like you
yeah,
can dress cool and cover yourself up if that's really your concern. But if you're wearing black hoodie and black sweats, or the people who wear like black trip pants and shit and like black hoodies and stuff, it's like, dude, okay, like stop. I don't know what you're doing,
yeah.
and I don't like it.
You're at an amusement park. Like, I get it. You may be comfortable, but you're out in the sun for 30 minutes and you're a sauna. You're literally giving off heat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I feel like we have this amazing luxury nowadays where we can just grab our phones and it'll tell us what's the temperature outside. Oh, cool. It's 95 degrees. You know what I'm going to wear? My black
Shorts.
hoodie, black sweatpants, and stilettos. Like, that's what I think about when these guys go out there. I'm like, you don't have any logic when it comes to what you wear, do you?
And it's So, before I
Yeah.
get myself in trouble, that's a great one. I totally agree with the like if you're big, just know how big you are.
Yeah.
Just know it's okay. And if you want to be a big fat boy, be a big fat boy. But that doesn't mean you get to inconvenience everybody else. Like,
You
I'm
wouldn't
tired
be a
of
big
it.
fat boy.
Be a big fat boy. I don't care.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, just don't put it on other people.
Attitude and gratitude, and I have two attitudes that I'm going to rattle off real quick, both sort of related because they both happened in the grocery store this weekend. My first one is customer service these days. I'm not saying anything that's breaking the news like people complain about. Like, customer service just sucks these days. But I had this gay twink. I was just trying to pick up a cake and trying to pick up some stuff for like my grandmother's party. And I said, yeah, I'm here to pick up an order for my grandmother's name. And the amount of attitude and just like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? And I was like, dude, I know it's June 1st, but let's cut the fucking attitude. And like, can you just help me? Like, you are at the customer service desk and I am asking for some customer service. Please just help me out. Like, I don't want to be here any more than you do. Just get me out of here.
Dude. Yeah, I've already been seeing stuff about June 1st, and it's frustrating. But
Luckily, I was
so,
telling Cassie on the way home, I haven't seen like anything. I haven't been on my phone a whole lot, but I haven't seen like anything in real life. And I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna keep it going that way. We're gonna. But then my second one, that's more important to me. That was just sort of like, okay, dude, let's go. So we go, Cassie, Jade, Joshua, and I go to the grocery store, and we're picking up some things for the party. And this fucking guy who's working the self checkout. So it's already like, I don't even need you anywhere near me. I got this. I'm already doing your job. He comes over and he's like talking to me because I got alcohol, so he's checking my ID. And then he says to Jade, "You're a beautiful little girl." And so already, perk up.
Yeah.
Cassie perks up. We're like, "Oh, haha, yeah, thanks so much, tee." And then he looks at her again and goes, "Wow, you're such a beautiful little girl." And immediately Cassie moves her like in front, and like she's wearing a dress, so she like tucks her into her dress basically. And I said, he's got one more time before I make I'll make a scene in this building. I'm trying to hold off, because we could just check out and get out of here and not get arrested by the police or, but he's got one more time before. And he doesn't say a single other word. He just stands a foot away from us and like watches us check out. And I'm like, dude, I don't understand. I don't know. He didn't seem developmentally disabled because there are some, I know some people who were. He was not like, he didn't have Down syndrome. It didn't seem like he had autism. He was just a fucking weirdo. And he stood right there, and I was like, how am I? What is going on right now? Like, are you trying to get killed? Because I will. Like,
yeah. It's like, I will kill you in front of all these people, and I won't bat an eye. Like,
no, and when I talk to the cops, I'll tell them that you called my little girl beautiful twice, and then you just stood there over her. And I guarantee in Florida, the cops would be like, "Okay, yeah, I get it."
Yeah, 100%.
Just know where you're at. And I know basically nobody knows how to talk to anybody anymore. Nobody knows how to talk to people. But just fuck off. Just go do something else. Like, I don't know. You have to know that you're being a freak. You have to know that. I'm sure if we checked your hard drives, you'd be in prison. But like, just fuck off somewhere. And it's then we forgot something. So I left them in the car to come grab it because I was like, I can't even bring her in here again because I know that freak's going to be standing there.
Well, we talked about this before too. I think that's a big thing too, is like situational awareness and like knowing like what's like okay, what's acceptable at that moment. Like that you don't like, especially nowadays, like you don't say those kind of things. Like human trafficking and all that stuff like that is it's so high right now. You can't say that, especially around a protective father like you. Like you can't like if it was anybody who didn't have like self-control like you have, dude, that dude's like laid out, killed, like there's nothing, like, and like that's great, dude. That's so wild. Like I just don't understand what goes through their minds. Like
the first time I can take it as you're just like an idiot. The second time to just stand there and repeat yourself to my kid, it's like, okay, again, you've got one more time, and then this is turning into something ugly. And it's like, I know I'm a dad, so I constantly am around other kids because we take my daughter to the park, we take my daughter to kid stuff, and so there are other parents who are constantly talking. Anytime we're at a restaurant, anybody sees anybody else with babies, it suddenly becomes, I would never ever say, "Wow, dude, your daughter is so beautiful." Like, it's just not. It's not my wife will say it. I'm not saying it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
I'll point out that they seem smart, that they're doing well at whatever they're doing, whatever. But I'm not commenting on their looks because it's fucking weird, and I just don't understand some people sometimes. And it was just like, this is going. I gotta rant about this because it's like, if anybody is hearing me outside of the people that like I love that normally watch it, like, stop! Don't not talk to kids like that, dude. Holy shit!
That's it. Like, and I think people understand this too. It's like, because I don't think a lot of people will get it. This is a complete stranger talking to his child in his presence. Like, it's not us hanging out at the house and I'm like, "Oh, Jade, I love your pigtails." Like, that's so cute. Like, it's not that. It's
you're her uncle, like your family.
Yeah, literally. I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're like literally family. Yeah. I'm like, it's not that. This is a creepy dude who works at Walmart, first of all, and is looking at. It's like giving me like fucking like goosebumps. Like,
also fuck that. It wasn't Walmart. It's Harris Teeter in Fernandina Beach. And if anybody's watching that, fuck your self checkout guy. I hope somebody reports his ass, and I hope he gets fucking fired.
Yeah, fuck that dude. That's ugh. I'm
All
like
right, but
literally
anyway,
like getting riled up.
I know,
Anyways, yeah, let's move
I
on
know
from that.
your
Ugh.
attitude.
Yeah. So my attitude, it kind of goes back to the amusement park thing because I was very frustrated at the time.
Yeah,
But my big thing was simple, like common decency, like simple manners.
preach.
Like
I already knew where
it's
this was going.
it
Preach, brother.
yeah, it's the littlest things, right? Like we would be in line for a ride, right? They're sitting there talking like it'd be like 2 or 3 people from us. They're talking in a group. Well, the attendant, right, sitting right there, going like, "How many?" And they're just like not even listening. The lines are empty. They're loading up the next ride, and it's like, she said, "How many?" And they're just like not listening. And so I have to like be like, "Hey, like look," and then I get like a fucking like asshole. Like, no,
Yeah,
just fucking pay attention. Like we're all here. We're all trying to ride. It's not hard. Just have a little bit of, I bitch about it all the time, but have a little situational awareness. Just like be decently aware that you're around other people that are trying to do the same thing you are, and you are the thing in their way. Like,
and especially with dude, I so totally agree, and especially with a
yeah,
situation like that where people are just like they don't know when to move up in line. I just flew a couple weeks ago. Fucking TSA is like that where people are just like in La La Land, and the TSA
yeah,
agent's like, "Come on," and they're like, "Oh, dude, okay." I have a caveat for this, but for me and for you and for every other grown man I know who's like married and has a family and all those kind of things, as the man, as the dad, as the husband, all those kind of things, that's my job. I'm situationally aware. They're playing, having a good time, whatever, and so I'm
yeah,
aware to be like, hey, all right, Scoot, let's go, and then they can just keep being having a good time while I'm aware. If you don't have that, it is your responsibility to designate somebody as like the hey, I'll pay attention while you guys act like idiots. That's fine. Act like idiots. You're at a theme park,
yeah,
whatever. But one of you has to not. And when you don't, I think it should be socially acceptable to just fucking backhand somebody. Like it because your
literally
dad
a
clearly
smack
your
one
dad
side
did
of
it.
the head.
Because like when I
Yeah,
was a kid, if we were in a theme park line and I wasn't paying attention over, my dad would like push or back of the head
yeah,
or like what it's like. Hey, pay attention. Let's go.
yeah,
But like it's just wild the amount. It's sort of the same subject, but to make my finer point, like my brother-in-law just got in a car accident because some dude came up like flying up behind him wanting to go way too fast. So my brother-in-law moves over, lets the guy pass, moves back over, and the dude brake checks him and slams into his car. You are so unconcerned with other people that you're like, oh, I'm so mad about what's going on that I didn't get to go 90 miles an hour or whatever, that I'm going to ruin my whole day, his whole day. I don't know if there's kids in the car. I'll kill them. I don't like what you have
yeah,
no idea. You're just like, so my wider point is like people, I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if it's the phones. I don't know what it is, but nobody just cares about other people. Nobody cares. Actually, I wanted to say this and I didn't have a chance to say this. And so I want to say this now. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how a lot of people think people are sociopaths or narcissists or whatever, when actually they did studies that like if you're like at a certain IQ level, like you're dumb, it's not that they're not sociopaths or narcissists. They physically cannot comprehend like what other people are thinking, feeling, other people living their lives, whatever. They're
yeah.
just dumb, and so they just ooga booga brain and don't care. And it's like that's the world we live in now. Is like where
It's
you
so
know
many people.
when like 100 years ago, people living on their farms or working in factories or whatever, you don't really notice it because you're all just sort of like doing this kind of
Yeah,
stuff in jobs. But now we have so much recreational social interaction that you see it all the time. You're like, dude, what are you not understanding? What
yeah,
are you not doing?
yeah, dude. I mean, that's true, dude. Especially because like now, like I mean, we're doing a podcast and we're what 30 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
It's like there's people all over the world and they're literally at the touch of your fingertip. Like,
Yep.
and you see all this stupidness, and it's like, so yeah, we see it a lot more. So I guess maybe we've got dumber. I would say we haven't. We
Yeah,
definitely
we've
got
definitely got. I mean,
yeah,
I think even
yeah.
statistically, we've gotten dumber. Like,
Oh, 100%. But yeah, dude, that's so great. It's so annoying, and it's like
I mean,
it's so
I think
frustrating.
the funniest experiment with that is try to have somebody read the founding documents as they are, and then try to tell you what they're saying. You don't get to read like a Cliff Notes version. You don't get to read like what it's. No, you tell me. You read it word for word, and then tell me what they're saying.
Yeah, tell me what they're saying. Don't have someone else break it down for you.
You break it down.
You need to break it down yourself.
It's a great Sunday. We had a great message this morning. We're feeling fired up. So let's be grateful. I also have 2 of these. They're connected though, but I separated them into 2. So my first one is people having to admit they were wrong. And so, I've had some people say some things about me. They're not at all true ever. And then when they get that, like, that moment happens where they realize they were wrong because they've also seen, like, what it actually, people say that I could be, like, abusive to Cassie. We've talked about it on here before. People can say that, like, I could be mean. And then when they see other people be nasty to their spouses or, abusive or any of those other things, and they just go, oh my God, I did not realize how good, like, Josh was to his wife until I see what, like, actual, so that felt good. I sort of got that this weekend, and that felt good. Again, I'm not throwing shade, not being mean to anybody. It actually is a great thing. So not. And then the second thing was people seeing the good from the jump. And so we, again, lots of family in town for the party. And we had family members come up to us and tell me, like, I love how, like, traditional you guys are, and you're, like, the way you live your lives and the way you're a father and she's a mother and, like, the things you do. It's so amazing. And I was like, oh God,
dude, that's the best compliment right there. Like, being complimented on being, like, a dad or a father or a husband, like that, dude. That's got. I mean, I haven't commented on a dad yet, but the husband aspect, like, yeah, like Tori's mom today, she was like, she said, you're an awesome husband, and I was like, stop it. And I was like, that's so nice. Like, I was like, you ain't got to do all that, but I was like, dude, that made my day. I was like, wow. Like, we don't live close, but, like, from what she sees, like, she sees I'm great to Tori, and, like, I take care of her and all that. And I was like, that means a lot.
And, like, I had some of the family members, like, crying from, all the work I did to prepare for it, and then crying because I'm such a good dad to my children, and crying because I'm such a good husband to Cassie, and they don't have what we have, and those kind of things. And it was like, yeah, guys, I've been here the whole time. I've just been waiting for you to notice it.
Now you see it. Now you see it.
All right, brother, what are you grateful for?
I like that one. Mine was random acts of kindness. Like, I know we've all seen this guy, and I will be this guy one day, and I am this guy some days. But we were at Olive Garden, and there was an older man sitting at the bar, and there was a wife and a husband there with 2 kids, and they were sitting there, and the kid came over and was, like, messing with the older man's leg. And he kind of turned and he looked, and he was like, did you drive here? Like, to the little kid. And I started laughing, and the dad started laughing, and the mom started laughing, the little kid started laughing, and the kid was like, oh, he didn't know what to do, so he ran back to his dad or whatever, and he just turned around and looked at him, he's like, you have a lovely family, like, that is awesome. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like, that's just, like, a nice thing that made that family's day. And then like, we were walking out, and someone held the door open for us, and I was like, I appreciate you, sir. And he was like, thank you. He's like, you have a great day. And I was like, dude, and I think it's because we get it so little nowadays. Getting it is like, that's why I'm thankful I live in the South, because it's definitely more prevalent here. But even nowadays in the South, like, it's almost rare for that to happen. Like, I'll get the door held open for me, but I don't ever get, like, a thank you or whatever. But to get that, like, oh, thank you, like, you have a great day, sir, like, all that, like, just those little things like that just make my day. And I'm very grateful to those people that are still holding strong with that, because that's what we need.
For sure. I love that. When you see, like, because we just talked about an attitude, but when you see people act like people and, like, sort of conversate and thank you and you're welcome and ma'am, sir, those kind of, it's just like, oh my God, we're still here. We're holding out. We're
coexisting, dude.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's really good. All right, brother. We're going to end it with this. I drove to Florida last weekend, drove back a couple days later, drove back,
time.
And then drove here. Yeah, and I mean, rugby games, I'm driving all over the place, everything. So I stop at gas stations a lot. And every time I have some bangers that, they're my go-to. So we're gonna not debate. We're sure we're gonna agree a lot, but our tier
I
list.
think we're gonna have the top number one. I think we'll both have the same number one.
Maybe I think you might be surprised, but there's a reason for my number one. But our tier list: best travel snacks, best gas station like travel snacks. My tier 3, it might actually be your number one, but old reliable, greatest like it's goated in its own way because it's just like you're never gonna go wrong. Is beef jerky.
Mm.
Yeah, it's only so low because it's like $400 a bag, but like
it's expensive.
you if you do that little splurging, you're willing to splurge a little bit. I mean, it is so good. Because it takes a little time to chew. You feel like you're actually like eating like throughout the whole time. Like it's so. And I mean, plain cracked pepper, teriyaki. I had chili lime. Yeah, dude, it's goated. It's great, and it's like a healthy. So like for me, like I get all the protein from it. Like it's great.
Yeah.
So tier 3 beef jerky.
That's good, dude. Yeah, my tier 3 was one of my favorite bagged snacks. I know this is not a super popular one, but I personally love them. Funyuns. I love Funyuns, dude. I can mess up a bag of Funyuns. Something about that bright yellow, like neon green bag gets me going. I'm like, yeah. Tori hates them because they stink, but I love them. I love them. I'll smack a bag of Funyuns any day, dude. That's a good solid go-to.
And actually, like, I don't. Well, I like spicy stuff, but the Flamin' Hot Funyuns, dude. Oh my gosh, dude, a whole nother level.
Dude, I'm not a big fan of spicy stuff, so.
Yeah, you like your plain.
I was gonna say I like my seasoned soap.
All right. Well, my tier 2, and they're only not number 1 because they're a little bit of a pain to eat on a trip, but luckily I have the greatest co-pilot in the world that'll like hook me up. So my tier 2 is boiled peanuts, the Cajun boiled peanuts specifically. That's
a curveball right there.
The whole cup, I could slam a whole thing of boiled peanuts, man. They're so good. And like I said, she'll like crack them open for me, and I can like sit there and eat them and toss the shell out. Like, so great.
That's a good one, dude. I like some boiled peanuts. I can get behind that. You need a second set of hands for those though, especially if you're driving.
Definitely.
Yeah, my number 2 is it's more so for if I'm being a passenger on a long road trip. But the past few years I've only been the driver for the majority of it, and so I went with the Fritos barbecue twist. Dude, those are so good.
So good, dude. Oh,
I say they're more so for a passenger because of all the dust it gets on your fingers.
Yep.
So like I usually drive with one hand anyway, so I'm usually good. But like say like something happens, I gotta grab it with 2 wheels. Now I got that cheesy dust all over my wheel. That sucks. But oh my gosh, dude! Like the bags, I'll give Fritos this. Though if you want a full chip bag, get those.
The barbecue twist.
They load those bags up. No air in them bitches. You're not gonna get 4 chips. You're getting like a 1,000 of those little twisties in one bag. Dude, so they load those things up.
I got hyped up because that is Cassie's tier 1. I get them for her probably once a week, just when I stop at the gas station to get protein and stuff. Like I'll grab her those; they're her favorite, and so I get them. I get to do my little dad tax on them. Oh my god, dude, they're so good. Oh my gosh, like and actually
Delicious.
To your point, I won't get them because there are so many in there that I'm like, I don't need this many chips.
Dude,
like,
it's a lot.
But God, it is so good. Oh my god.
You want a filling snack, bang for your buck? You can't go wrong with that one.
Dude, you eat beef jerky and barbecue twist, you're gonna feel like you had a buffet. Like you're pushing
dude,
it.
That'll fill you up. That's a meal. That's not a snack. That's a meal right there.
All right, my tier 1. You're gonna be very excited about this because I was a little quiet on yours. My tier 1 is Funyuns.
Yes, let's go, dude.
So good, and I fucking love. And I was quiet because I was like, I'm gonna just repeat the same things. I fucking love Funyuns so much, and
dude, they're so good.
They're so good, and also my mom and I, whenever we would take trips, she loves Funyuns, and so as a kid, we always got Funyuns together. So now I just carry on that tradition. Like, oh, dude, they're so good. Especially you get like the big, like every pack normally there's like one big, like mamma jamma, and you're just like, oh man,
yeah, dude, the best. Dude, the best part about Funyuns, okay, you might call me a psycho for this, but this is what I do, right? When it gets to the little nitty gritty parts, right? Take them in the corner, crush them up, make them into like a powder almost. Get that straight line in the bag, dump them in, dude. Oh my gosh, it's like straight Funyun dust. Oh, it's so good. I do it.
Well, I don't crush them up, but I do love the part where you can dump them in your mouth, and there's it's like a mouthful of like the little
Yeah.
pieces. So good, man. Yeah.
Once it gets to like the
I
little
was
pieces that you like, can't like fish out of there, that's when I
yeah,
crush them up.
but I was so stoked when you said that for your tier 3, and you were like, "Oh, you might
Yeah.
not like these," but no, dude, tier 1 Funyuns.
Tier one. That's good, dude. Yeah. Yeah. My tier one was your tier three. Good old beef jerky. I'm
Hell
a
yeah.
sucker for we know it. We talk about it all the time. I'm a sucker for the meats. Love the
Hell yeah. You
meats.
love that beat in your mouth.
I love that meat in my mouth, dude. I tell you what, and I'm telling you, and it sucks because of the price. The price is so bad, and I feel
Yeah.
like bang for your buck. It's not top tier at all, but just like the getting that one piece of jerky in there that's like it feels like almost wet, and you just bite into it and you go right through it. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
I'm trying to
I
find this brand because oh man, you're really
I
gonna
am
do this to
a
me.
Sweet Baby Ray's original, dude. That's
Oh,
the best.
Vacadillos beef jerky. They sell it at the gas station by us, and it's like, again, like I said, it's chili lime, but their jerky pieces are like soft and tender,
Yeah,
and they're full of flavor. Oh, dude, I get like whenever I want because I eat a lot of protein bars, a lot of protein shakes, but a lot of the time like I just want meat in my mouth. I just want to feel like I'm
yeah,
actually like eating food. I will
yeah,
get the Vacadillos beef jerky. It's like, oh, dude, so good. It's such a treat when I
yeah.
like splurge on it.
Dude, it's so good. It's like that's why like I don't hardly get it anymore because it's so expensive. But like it's like when you
Yeah,
do get it, it's like it's that much better because you take it. It's so few and far between when you do get it.
dude, jerky is like half the reason I go or want to go hunting because it's like you can get like homemade deer jerky, dude. Oh my god, I'm set.
Dude,
I don't need
homemade
anything
deer
else. I
jerky is
got it.
so good, and you get
But
so much out of a deer too.
yeah, yeah. I used to get bags when I was young. I used to get bags from my uncle and like the big Ziploc bags, and I would just like
Yeah,
take it
dude.
to school and just yam
Yep,
on it. Oh
yep.
my god, dude.
That was the best. Dude, I remember when we were in school, and you want to pull out like a clear bag with jerky, and we knew like that's homemade jerky. And he'd be like, "You want a piece?" Like, oh yeah. So everybody's like trying a piece of this jerky, and we're like, "Oh, this is so good! Like, what'd you marinate it in?" And we talk about how like we made it and stuff like that. I go home and tell my dad, and be like, "Oh, they like marinated it Dr Pepper." They're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And we try it, and it's delicious. And we're like,
Yep.
"Oh,
And
it's so
dude,
good."
I to end the tier list and this episode, I got like one of the best compliments that was like a weird compliment, but my stepfather-in-law, my mother-in-law's current husband, we were eating at the get together and everything, and my grandmother got these beautiful Argentinian red shrimp. They were like little lobsters, dude. They were so good. But I was eating them, and I said something about protein, and my stepfather looks at me and goes, "Yeah, you don't get looking like you without eating a lot of protein." And I was like, "That's what I'm talking
You just
about.
immediately flex up, just
All this hard
say it
work
again.
worth it."
That's
I
sick,
gotta.
dude.
I'll throw this out here too because you and I talked about it. I think one of the last times it was just me and you, but I was having a hard time like deciding between cutting and bulking, those kind of things. And now that I'm primarily focusing on rugby, I've just been like, I'm just gonna bulk. I want to be like 240, like little chub but big, and that's what I've been
Yeah,
doing. And dude, I feel so good. Not worrying about being like cut, but just worrying about being like a big like gorilla man. It was the right decision. I feel
bro,
so
yeah.
good.
Beefy and in shape.
Dude,
That's hard to beat. That's hard to
goaded.
beat, dude. Yeah,
Um, all right,
so
brother.
good.
Do you have any last final words for the pod?
I don't think so, man. Hope everybody had a good week. Hope you have a great week this week. Be better.
Be better. Praise God, baby.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I should have had it pulled up. Probably a bad way to end the episode, but as I'm sure you know me, but I love Lord of the Rings. I've come to the conclusion recently that Lord of the Rings is like the goated like fantasy series. Um, I freaking love Star Wars, but I just think Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings has like a beauty and a like that kind of stuff to it that makes it better. But I have a little quote that I wanted to read because I have it written down in a journal of mine, like I love. So, Frodo says, "I wish it need not have happened in my time," and Gandalf says, "So do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But that's not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." And I love that because it's like all the stuff going on in the world, all the times I think like, man, I have my kids and I don't want them to have to go through this and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you can sit around and moan and complain about all the things that are going on now, or you can, deal with what's in front of you, deal with the hand you've been dealt, and, acknowledge your blessings and just be optimistic. I understand bad things are going on. Bad things have always been going on, but, that's where you just have to be appreciative of what you have. So I love that. And we lose connection for the end of the episode. All right, well, we've had some technical difficulties, but as I said, you'd be grateful for the time you have. So I have been your host, Joshua Walker. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like, please comment, please subscribe. Please do all those great things. Like I said, we're so thankful for you. So we will be back next week. Hopefully that can be finally the battle between Nash and Alex's hot takes. We will see you then, and I will see you next week. Peace.